Hey, what's going on? It's Bill Burr, and it's time for the Thursday afternoon, just before Friday, Monday morning podcast. And la 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 la, fa la 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 la. I'm checking in on you. I try to make it the holiday season podcast. I don't know. I try to infuse it, and it didn't work. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It didn't work. Just like your ex-wife. Didn't work. Bonjour, bonsoir, bon après-midi, tout le monde. Je m'appelle Guillaume et je suis si heureux parce que j'ai un bon Noël. You guys have a good Christmas? I had a great Christmas. C'était parfait. It was perfect. I got to tell you this cute story. When I was a little boy, un petit garçon rouge, très rouge, trop rouge, ah ouais, trop rouge. C'est un horror. I was faced with a Sophie's choice when I was a kid, and this is probably how I ended up being a comedian. The trauma of this. I was in a department store back in Massachusetts, and my mother was getting me some new pajamas. And she brings me over to the pajama section. She said, pick out the pajamas you want. And I'm scanning the pajamas. And the first thing I see is the Bugs Bunny stuff. And I love Bugs Bunny, right? And they had Bugs Bunny playing basketball and Bugs Bunny playing football. And I was like, oh, like I loved football from the time I remember watching TV. And like when I was a little kid, I didn't know they were wearing pads. So I thought their shoulders were that big. I thought they were these little, like these not little, I thought they were like these fucking hulks just slamming into each other. Interestingly enough, right as I was about ready to pick Bugs Bunny playing football, he had the old school leather helmet on. And he was holding the football, running for a touchdown. Nobody near him, right? Hey, cut, go, all the way, right? And I look to the left, and what do I see? I see Hulk pajamas. And the Hulk is built like the football players. I don't know, like I didn't know if they're wearing pads. So I'm looking at him, and he's green, and he's shredded, and he's fucking angry. And it's green, and I've always loved green. So I couldn't make up my mind. So I said, Ma, come over here. Oh, I was young. Ma, come over here. I wanted both. Could I get both? And she said, no. Because it was the 70s, and that's a word kids heard a lot. She was like, no, she's like, I'm going to do some more shopping. Another thing, you just leave your kids, right? I'm going to fucking pick... How every kid was not abducted in the 70s is just fucking beyond me. So she walks away in a department store. So me and my brother are standing there. He's trying to figure out what he wants, and I cannot make up my mind. I am agonizing. And I just couldn't make up my mind. And I chose Bugs Bunny playing football because I loved football and I loved Bugs Bunny. I loved the Hulk too, but there was two things that I loved or whatever. And I grabbed finally, she said, come on, we got to go. Pick one. So I reached for Hulk and then went over and grabbed Bugs Bunny, handed it to her. And then she, took me by my arm the way they used to, your first separated shoulder is your mother giving you the let's go tug, right? So she's pulling me out. And as we're walking away, I'm looking over at my shoulder, sad, looking at the Hulk pajamas. And every time I wore the Bugs Bunnies, I loved them. But I always thought about the Hulk pajamas, and I never got them. All right, so here we are, fucking 50 years later. I told that story to my daughter because she was going through something where she wanted something, and she had to make a choice or whatever, and it brought me back to that moment. And what I always do whenever my kids are going through some stuff is rather than talk to them about them, I tell them a story of when I was going through the same thing. Like if they have to do like a performance at school and they're nervous, I go, of course you're nervous. I always get nervous right before I go on stage. And then my daughter's like, you do? Yeah. My stomach's in knots. I'm hoping it's going to go well. But then once I get out there, I have so much fun. And then when it's over, I feel great. I feel proud about myself because I went up and I did it, right? I do stuff like that. Or like if my kid's feeling sad, I just sort of clock that. And a few days later, I'll just sort of work in how I was sad today. And, it makes them feel like it's all right to have all these emotions, right? So what were you sad about that? Well, I was thinking about some friends that I lost and haven't seen in a while and blah, 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 blah. And whatever, right? So anyway, I related that story to her. I forget what the heck she was dealing with. She had like something about sports, something about soccer. She had to make a choice, right? And I could see it was bugging her. So I told her that story, right? And about how sometimes, you don't get everything, but if you get something, that's still great, right? So I tell her that story, and guess what she got me for Christmas at 56 years of age? I got Hulk pajamas. Now, granted, no offense to Comic-Con people, I am way too old for that shit, right? But it was the gesture that she did, and I made sure I told her that night. I said in the hallway, I said, sweetheart, you just made a childhood dream come true. Thank you so much. She just broke out ear-to-ear grin and gave me a big hug. And I was thinking, there you go. That's my Christmas right there. So look at that. Usually a gloom and doom podcast, I started off with a nice story that I like to think in my own egomaniac fucking skull that you guys all just went, oh. But I know there's a lot of you damaged fuck who are like, oh, Billy fucking pussy tits or whatever. And I don't take that personally. And whenever somebody says something like that to me, all I hear is the lack of hugs in your childhood. Or if you're just Irish, like you're born with it. Before somebody doesn't love you, before you don't get the hugs, before your dad spends the weekly paycheck down in the pubs doing some Angela's ashes shit, right? They're just fucking born with it. The Irish people are simultaneously my favorite people and the most miserable cunts I've ever met in my life. I wouldn't even say that. I would say the English are. You know what I mean? Because at least the Irish still have something to go for. It's like the English are there, and they were there, and it just didn't fill them up, and now they're just cunts, right? And it always blows my mind how the English are like that's like the English are the European version of American New Yorkers. Like American New Yorkers, they just think they fucking know everything. They think where they live is the be-all, end-all, and their shit doesn't fucking stink. It's very relatable. Whenever I go over to England, right, it's so funny. They always say, right, what's this out of guns, mate? Do you don't understand it? Why you call football, right? Always fucking, you don't use your feet, you use your hands. You use your hands. Like, they think they're the first person that ever fucking said that. Every time you go over there and it's, what's with the guns, mate? It's fucking crazy over there, right? And at least that's what they sound like to me. All right, they all sound high-pitchy Ricky Gervais to me. And I always want to look at them and just be like, what do you mean, what the fuck happened over here? You started what happened over here. The fuck did you come over to America with your ships? You come over with a bunch of flowers? You didn't. You came over with cannons and muskets and what are those other fucking long guns, right? So musket, the pistol back then? The Bugs Bunny one that flared out and you just fucking shot metal at people? You guys started this shit over here. You guys, the French and the Spaniards. And then all these years later, after you set the fucking tone over here, you wonder why it still exists. You're like the abusive parent who then just blames it. I don't know why he's so angry about it. He used to be a happy kid. Yeah, and then I had you as a parent. And that went out the fucking window, didn't it? Anyway. Yeah, if you don't understand America, that's because you live in a fucking country where it's all you, basically. It's all you. And then there's a little bit not you. And do you get along with them? Do they feel welcome in your country? They don't. That's our entire country. Our entire country is a bunch of fucking people that weren't from here. Our ancestors were not fucking from here. There's all these different teams. And we have CNN and Fox News to make sure we all fucking hate each other every goddamn week. All right? And there you go. This country was stolen. We're driving a hot car over here, and you don't know when the cops are showing up. So everybody's fucking strapped. That's what's going on here. And it's been going on so long, you're not going to fucking stop it. So enough with the stupid fucking questions. Why do you use your hands in football? Because soccer is boring. No, it isn't. It's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful fucking game if it's not played here. But if it's played here by Mexicans, then it's beautiful. But they're from a country, or at least their ancestors are, if they're native to this country, that appreciates that fucking game. Because it's a gorgeous game. You know?